Come on, 49 Franklin, let's get it.
Because it's 49 in mine.
We gotta do this one time for the Empire.
It's 49 in mine. It's 49 in mine.
We gotta get that brick by brick done quick.
49 in mine.
Yeah, yo, we can't listen to them haters, man.
49 in mine.
We from the Bay.
49 in mine.
We them San Francisco 49ers.
49 in mine.
We got that red and gold blood inside us.
49 in mine.
Oh yeah, freak out, yeah, I'm looking right. Oh yeah, freak out, yeah, I'm looking right into the video scope, And this is Macho Man, #1 Macho Man impersonator, past, present, future, yeah. And I'm here to tell you, you are watching 49er Minded with Bashar. Yeah, the cream of the crop. Dig it?
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of 49er Minded, where we get into the minds of 49er fans. So I guess some people are busy tonight. I don't see too many people roll in the chat like I usually do. Like last time, it was right after the game, so the chat was flooded then. But we do got Joey Mahoney in the house. He says, "What's up, Bashar?" Bash? He says, "What's up, Bash? Do your thing, brother. Good to have you on, man." Joey's always pumped up about the Niners. He's very passionate, of course. And for those of you guys who don't know, my special guest today is Niner Nate from the Niner Nate's Nonsense podcast. If you guys are unaware of it, you have to check it out. I do have all the links to subscribe to his podcast in the video description of this video. And without further ado, I'm going to bring him on right now.
How you doing?
What's going on, Niner Nate?
How's it going? How are you doing today?
Great, man. Awesome. I don't know if I know the Warriors are playing right now. I'm not sure if they're winning, but if they're winning, even better.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were winning last I checked. Before I came on here, I made sure to pull out the Warriors hat just to represent a little bit of the Warriors. I was trying to see if Steph would break this record tonight, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to happen tonight. So instead of watching the Warriors crush a bad team and Steph not break the record, people should be in here listening to the show.
They might be, man. We've been posting this on Twitter like you won't believe. So for those of you, okay, Joey Mahoney says the Warriors are winning. Good to know. Yeah, I don't think Steph's breaking the record tonight, though, but he'll probably break it the next game. We got my boy in the house, Don Suave, says 5350 dubs. Big Warrior fan, big 49er fan, of course, good friend of mine from San Jose. And yeah, so we got Niner Nate in here from Niner Nate's podcast. It's a really good podcast. If you guys haven't checked it out, take the time to check it out. I personally have an Android phone. I like the Google Podcast app. That's what I use to subscribe to my 49er podcast. I'm probably subscribed to every single 49er podcast that there is. And his podcast is pretty easy to find because if you look on the thumbnail of this video, you'll actually see the logo for his podcast, and it looks like the Nintendo 64 logo, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
actually, Niner Alex, I hit him up over Twitter one day, and I was like, hey, I think I'm going to branch out on my own. I'm going to try something new. I want to do a 49er color Nintendo 64 logo. And he's like, yeah, I think I can do it. And he sends me this thing back, and I was like, this thing is so dope. And I honestly love the logo, and it's been like one of my favorite parts about doing the podcast, actually, just having that cool logo that people can see every time I get to post it.
Yeah, it's like that double N with the silhouette, kind of like, and it has the red and gold. If you remember the Nintendo 64 version, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, one more thing we were talking about the Warriors. I don't want to keep talking about them, but this is very important. Joey Mahoney says, R.I.P. Thunder, former Warriors mascot, passed away today.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, it's terrible. He's only 44 years old. So
that was the guy in the costume, right?
Yeah, the guy that used to jump on the trampoline and do those crazy dunks.
Yeah.
And he was Thunder before they even had the Oklahoma Thunder team. And then when the Thunder team came into relevance, they took that mascot away. I wish they would have just kept it. Actually, I was at one of the games once. I can't remember what year or what game it was, because I went to more Warrior games when they were a crappy team before they were a good team. And one time we bumped into each other. Dude gave me a high five. I was like, okay, cool. Thunder just gave me a high five. But yeah, R.I.P. to him, man. We got Richard McDonald in the house. Says, what's up, gentlemen? I don't know who this guy is, but welcome to the channel. Thank you for coming along. We got David McNew, loyal viewer. Happy to have him here. Pioneer, where everybody knows that this guy is on Twitter.
I
This
don't know
guy.
Pioneer. I was trying to get him to talk earlier on my show. He wouldn't come up. I sent him a request multiple
I
times.
know. I don't know about Pioneer not refusing to talk, man. That's a rare. But yeah, so people are trickling in now. Good to hear. So tell me, Niner Nate, how exactly did you become a 49er fan? Tell us where you grew up and all that, and how did it all come about?
So I'm a Super Bowl baby. I was born 8 months after the 49ers beat the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl 50-10. And I was kind of raised in it. And so I've always been around it. And I got a job out of college in radio, and I worked in radio in Seattle for a little while. And the first day I worked my job, because in my interview, the boss that hired me was like, "Oh, you're not going to wear Niner stuff. There's no way you'll wear Niner stuff to a Seattle radio station." I was like, "Hell, I won't." And so I showed up the first day, kid you not, wearing a Niner hat, Niner socks, Niner shoes, a Niner shirt, Niner like athletic shorts. And the guy comes up to me and he's like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Oh, it's Nate." And he's like, "I'm gonna call you Niner Nate from here on out." And then that same day, we interviewed Cliff Averill up in Seattle, and that's where the name came from, because Cliff Averill was like, "Yeah, we'll call him Niner Nate from here on out." And I've had that name ever since, and that's kind of been like my name through the radio. And then when COVID hit and I came back home and I started working in the Bay again, it just kind of took off, and we started doing content, and people seem to enjoy it. People seem to like the kind of stuff I have to say. I mean, I know I'm kind of controversial with the whole Jimmy thing sometimes, that people don't like that stuff, but that's what's worked for me. And so it's my name. It's trademarked. I can't say anything bad about it.
Oh, you trademarked your name, really?
Yeah, why not, right?
Oh,
Like, make
cool,
sure no
man.
one else has it.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I dig the jacket, man. Cool Niner jacket. You came fitted today. You came prepared, man.
Always.
Yeah. So, but I mean, like, how? So you were a Super Bowl baby, but like, growing up as a kid, your mom and dad were like, "Okay, you have to watch these Niner games," or just later, gradually, you kind of became a Niner fan, like where you were really locked into it.
So my dad was actually from Dallas, Texas, and he moved to the Bay Area to get a job. And his roommate was a Niner fan who had season tickets and started taking him to Niner games. And my dad had never really been to a Dallas Cowboys game when he lived here, and so he became a Niner fan. And so, like, I was just always raised around it. My first 49ers game was actually the catch two, where Steve Young threw to Terrell Owens in the end zone to beat Green Bay. And the guy next to me, I mean, I'm 8 years old. The guy next to me says, "You'll never forget this for the rest of your life." And I haven't. I have a plaque on my wall in my room that my dad made me for my 16th birthday that has both tickets from that game, the scorecard, and then the picture of Terrell Owens catching the ball in the end zone. It's just one of those things that's just like ingrained in my life. And so the fact that, like, I like this football team so much and all this stuff, and then the fact that, like, my dad's into it, and my dad, is like my biggest supporter when it comes to the content, and it's just it all kind of builds on top of each other. It's been so much fun, man. Like, I really love it, and this is my favorite sports team.
Awesome. I'm sure you've been to a Niner away games, but do you remember what your first away game was and what your experience was like?
My first Niner away game was in Seattle, actually.
Oh, okay. When you were working over there
with the 12th man. My then father-in-law at the time took us to a Seahawks Niner game, and I remember they got their butt kicked, and I remember some guy tried to fight me on the way out, and I was just like, no. Like, Seahawks fans, they're so liquored up all the time. You go to those games and they're all face down in the trash can, puking everywhere you go. And so it wasn't the best experience, but I really do want to go to other away games. My sister actually is about to move to Phoenix, and I'm going to probably go to the Arizona Niner game next year, and that'll probably be a better experience just because I've heard Phoenix fans are a little more level-headed, I guess.
Yeah. Well, my cousins live out in Arizona, and they were telling me the people they were sitting in front of almost got in a fight. Some Niner fan and Cardinal fan. So I guess it could happen anywhere. But in general,
yeah,
I don't think I don't think that stadium has a bad reputation or anything like that. Do you remember what your first jersey was growing up, or did you buy a jersey yourself, or your parents gave you a jersey, or?
My first jersey was Jerry Rice, and I still have I've had a Jerry Rice every year of my life. And so, like, when I had a Jerry Rice that actually, like, that got, like, destroyed, or I had to get a new one, I always bought another one. And so my whole life I've always had a Jerry Rice jersey. But my favorite player outside of Jerry Rice has been Steve Young, and I've always wanted to buy like a really nice throwback Steve Young to like the day of the catch to Terrell Owens, and I've just never bought one. One day I will eventually, but that's the plan. Because Steve, a lot of people, you have a lot of the old people on Twitter who are like, Joe Montana is the greatest quarterback of all time. And I agree with that. Like, he's super important to the 49ers, but like, I never got to see Joe Montana play. So Steve Young is always been my guy. And, when you see him on TV doing pregame for Monday Night Football, you're like, oh my God, like that's freaking Steve Young. And so it's like, that's the dude I geek out about the most when it comes to like my Niner players, him and Jerry.
I'm kind of in the middle because when I started watching, it was right before, was like about a year and a half before Montana won the back-to-back Super Bowls. So obviously Joe was the man everywhere you looked. And, he continued to be the man for quite some time while I was watching. But then Steve Young was leaking in. So I kind of like them both. But in terms of, I just kind of like Young a bit more just for the fact that he carries himself off the field a bit better. And he's more open with the fans. And, he's very open with the media. And, very smart, intelligent guy too, So I follow a lot what he says whenever they have him on as a guest on KMBR or something like that. I love listening to what he has to say,
It's funny. We're talking about Steve Young. Did you see what he said earlier today at all?
I did not catch what he said today. It's been a few weeks since I've heard his input on KMBR. So
he said something kind of interesting today, and I don't know if you want me to like change the subject real quick.
Oh no, go ahead, go right ahead, bro.
It was pretty interesting. Basically, what he said was it was a waste of time, and ultimately settling on describing them as lost years, the years he sat behind, Joe Montana, the years that he was developed on the bench. And this is kind of an interesting perspective from someone who's in more of a situation similar to what we're dealing with right now with Jimmy and Trey. And I just thought it was kind of interesting insight you don't normally get from these guys. And so I don't know if that's the Trey case, because Trey did come from, a different type of program. And I think that, Steve Young sat on a different program before he came to San Francisco, and, logistics.
And it's weird because as a fan at the time, I had no idea how aggressive Bill Walsh was in terms of trying to push Steve Young to be the starter, even though Montana was still at the height of his career and still relevant. I was like, dang, man, Bill Walsh was crazy with that ideology. I think, you got this legend Hall of Fame quarterback and you're trying to, push him off the roster for Steve Young. Yeah. So we all know it worked out. Young ended up being a great quarterback. So
we had two of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL back to back. And I understand people, people are like, oh, New England had Tom Brady for as long as they did. And now they have Mac Jones. We don't know who Mac Jones is. No one will ever be Joe to Steve. That was going from Joe Montana to Steve Young, no one will ever have that experience, I don't think. I understand Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, but Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers haven't won as many Super Bowls as Joe Montana and Steve. And it's a different world, man. It's crazy to think. I think you're muted. I think you're muted. Oh. Did I lose you?
I'm here. Just my mouse.
Oh, you're good.
Mouse got
no worries. I was just like,
yeah, because I always click mute when the other guy talks. I always click mute, and I was trying to unmute myself, and I wouldn't do it. So here I am. Yeah, I was gonna say the closest thing would be the Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre comparison. Let me see what's up to a few peeps that trickled in recently. So we got, who else did I miss? Richard McDonald says, I'm new to this channel. Welcome to the show, buddy. Good to have you on. Awesome. And who else?
Shout out to Area 49ers, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
The guy who's been a pretty big supporter of me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Area 49ers. What's up? He says, yes, sir. Niner Nate in 4K. What's up, bro? I wish it was in 4K. This is only broadcasting in 720p, man. I don't pay for the high-end version of StreamYard. We got Waruna Pereira, writer for all 49ers SI. A good buddy of mine.
Big fan of those guys. All those guys are doing really good work out there. So keep fighting the good fight.
Waruna was on the show where I blew up about the whole Jimmy situation. If you guys missed it, you guys can go back and see that. I felt bad for poor Waruna because people might have think I was yelling at him, but no, I was just yelling at the whole idea in general. We got Amin the Dream. What's up, dog? He said, "What's up, Bashar Nate?" This young man is, I believe, he's only 14 years old.
Yeah, really, he's super talented.
YouTuber. Yeah, he had Grant Cohn on the show yesterday.
I wish I had that kind of talent at his age. I didn't realize what I wanted to do until
when I was his age, I used to try to record myself and do little comedy skits and stuff like that. I didn't do anything sports related back then. I was, watching football, but I wasn't sitting there pretending to be some guy, doing a podcast. They didn't have podcasts back then. They had radio shows and TV shows, So good to have me the Dream on. He's an awesome guy. I had him on my show before. We got Dan Castillo says, "What's up, Bash?" Always on here. I really appreciate that guy. He watches the show with his son. We got a Cardinals fan here. He's a Cardinal YouTuber. Very good YouTuber, by the way. The Cardinal Rule says, "Hey, Bashar." Yeah, man, good to have these guys on here.
Hey, I bet it's super fun to be a Cardinal YouTuber right now because they are electric. I mean, they got 4 turnovers against the Bears on Sunday. Like, God, that's awesome. Jealous.
Yeah, that guy must have been really happy when he played us with freaking Colt McCoy as their quarterback.
Yeah,
right? Gosh. So we diverged a little bit from the old school 49er Hall of Fame quarterbacks, which is just fine because, hey, you can never go wrong talking about our great legendary players who hold such a great legacy. I want to ask you, though, in terms of this, you may have met those guys, I don't know, but do you have any good experience, any cool experiences as far as meeting any 49er players?
I've met more Seahawks than I've met Niners, to be honest with you. Like, I'm not going to lie to you and be like, oh, yeah, I've met all these Niners. I've met more Seahawks than I've met 49ers. I did hang out with, oh, my God, I'm going to draw a blank. Oh, my God, you guys are going to kill me for this. The running back with Joe Montana when they won the Super Bowl. Who was his name? I'm so sorry.
Which Super Bowl? Roger Craig?
Roger Craig. I met Roger Craig and hung out with him. I had a couple beers with Roger Craig at a Super Bowl party up in Seattle. They got him to come out and hang out with us. He's a super nice guy. Like, I remember telling him, you should be in the Hall of Fame. He's like, yeah, I know. But I met way more. I met Richard Sherman. I've hung out with Richard Sherman before. I'll never forget it because Richard Sherman basically told me what was going to happen in 2019 before it happened. I went up to Richard and I was like, hey, man, like, welcome to the 49ers. I'm super stoked about what you're going to do. He's like, people have no idea what is about to happen. And so you could say Richard Sherman kind of knew it was going to happen way before it did. So it's kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, pretty crazy. Out of all people to become a 49er was Richard Sherman. That was just totally unexpected. Oh, we got another 49er YouTuber in the house. We got Mariah, 49er Faithful Lee, says, "What's up, fam? Since she's here, I got to do it. Me and Mariah go back like babies and pacifiers. Older dog, no liar." Shout out to Mariah. That's if you guys don't know, that's old school samba Mariah Carey with "Old Dirty Bastard" in. I did a little bit of the old Dirty Bastard line right there. She's a YouTuber. You gotta definitely check her out. She's got a 49er podcast going.
She's always in my spaces, so I appreciate her.
Oh yeah, she's awesome. She's always there. She's very knowledgeable too. And she says, "What's up?" right there. Yeah, I was gonna say with Roger Craig, great 49er running back. Charter member of the 1,000 club with 1,000 yards receiving, 1,000 yards rushing. But it's unfortunate because his last memory as a 49er was that fumble. I was watching that game live with my brother. I probably mentioned this on a previous episode. Watching it with my brother, God rest his soul, and some friends, and they were Raider fans. So they were talking their smack. Oh, look at the Niners lost. And that game just really sucked. It was just as painful as the Kyle Williams game. And then, lo and behold, fast forward years later, me and my brother attended the Kyle Williams game. So I'm not too fond of playing the Giants in the playoffs. Without a doubt.
He was cool. I honestly had a dope time with him. He was a really nice guy.
I heard a lot of good things about people who've met him. I never had I was never fortunate enough to meet Roger Craig. One time, this is like in 1991, NBA playoff season, the Warriors eliminated the San Antonio Spurs from the playoffs in Oakland Coliseum. Back then it was called Oakland Coliseum. And courtside, after the game, I saw Bill Walsh, Ronnie Lott, Steve Young, Eric Davis, and Roger Craig, and I think a couple other guys all chit-chatting after the game. And I was so starstruck. I was too shy to walk up to any of them and say what's up or anything like that. But Steve Young was like 15 feet away from me. He was like, "Hey, what's up, Steve Young?" And he like waved back. So I was like, okay, cool, man. Yeah, every now and then I'd see the 49er players like sprinkled in courtside the games. I used to be a Warriors volunteer, like handing out T-shirts back when I was in high school during that season. It was back when Run TMC was still relevant with the Warriors. Yeah. Oh, we got. We already. I might as well say shit talk right now because that's what I'm reading. We already got it going in the chat. It's already.
Honestly,
going.
like
Joey
you can't
Mahoney, we need to bed. He says we need to bed shit stay G. Okay, he's already started with that.
Real quick, is it okay if I just talk about Garoppolo? Like, just
let's do it. I was gonna. Yeah, go ahead because I was gonna ask you a couple more personal questions, but go right ahead. Let's jump into it. Yeah.
So the thing about Jimmy that I think that someone on Twitter kind of kind of alluded to this idea, and I think that there's a better way to say it, right? Jimmy Garoppolo is like probably one of the most inconsistent quarterbacks I've ever watched in my entire life, ever. Because the fact that like, and the way I think about it is he has two different personalities, right? He has this guy who comes out and throws a dot his first throw after the turnover in that Seahawks game. And then there's the guy who does not see the linebacker, does not see the safety and throws directly to them, does not see, George Kittle running open, takes a safety. And my biggest problem with Jim is the inconsistencies. It's almost mind-numbing when you watch all 22 of Jimmy Garoppolo. And the reason why it's been so mind-numbing is because he'll win games sometime based on his arm. Like, that does happen. It happened in the Saints game. It's not going to happen all the time. But the problem is he's so inconsistent that it's impossible to go out and have a good feeling about what he's going to do week in and week out, where you feel like, okay, we're going to beat this team. We're going to beat these guys. And so, like, I go off on Twitter on him a lot. I shit on him. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I do it. But the thing is the way that I shit on him is a little different than most people. Like, a lot of people are just like, he's just awful. He's the worst quarterback ever. And I do get that way sometimes, just when I get overly compassionate about it. But there's parts about him where he's the most infuriating football player I've ever watched in my entire life, because when he's on, like he was in 2017, there's amazing stuff happening. But most of the time, that's like 30% of his game, and the other 70% is like some of the worst football you've ever watched in your entire life. And it's like that little 30% is why he has fans, because that 30%, when he does something amazing, you're like, oh my God, he threw a dot to Ayuk on the sideline, to get the first down, or he hit Kittle in the middle. And yes, he has the blessing that he has Kyle Shanahan, scheming dudes wide open. If you ever look at all 22 of the 49ers, they literally always have someone wide open on every play. And so the biggest thing with Jim is his eyes don't look anybody off. And then he also stares at the same people over and over again. And his just general vision is not as good. And then he trusts his arm more than he should, because he's not using his leg to throw. And so sometimes he just sails passes, just like he did where, Trent Sherfield's wide the hell open. And this man sailed it over his head. And what happens? Quandre Diggs is waiting right there for an interception. And so, it's the Jimmy G experience. And I'm pretty over it personally, but I understand why he has fans. I just don't agree with those people.
Yeah. I said this so many times this year. I don't know how many times I say this. I was drinking the Kool-Aid with everybody when he first hopped on board. That the very first throw that Jimmy made as a 49er, or the very first touchdown they threw, let's say, was when they threw him in at the end of that Seahawks game. And when he's like stepping back and going backwards and throwing that touchdown pass and doing that crazy stuff where he steps backwards, like he did it then. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it this season at all where he did that. That was an amazing throw. Then that throw against the Minnesota Vikings when we lost to the Vikings in 2018, when Pettis got that touchdown, that was an amazing throw. But we don't really see that anymore. It's like he has shown at times certain talent, but it's there's like this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing. Which Jimmy are you gonna get? I forgot to shout out somebody really really good buddy of mine is Grant.
Your comment section is dying. Like,
my so comment section's fire. Shout out to the people in the chat, man. They're fire, man. You can literally just sit and watch the comments all day and be entertained. Right. Yeah. and speaking of which, Raymond Martinez, good buddy of mine from the Cone Phone, really good Grant phone caller. Has been on here before, by the way. Has his popcorn there. Once you started talking about Jimmy, he got his popcorn ready.
I'm a big fan of Raymond. He's come on Spaces, and he's always has something good to say. A lot of the people in here are good. Like, you got a lot of good people listening. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the thing is, like, everyone's going to, hate on him, and I get the hate, and I'm totally a Lance guy. I think it's time. But there's factors going on that, like, I don't truly understand. I just think I understand, and I try to, like, at least understand them from like a perspective, but it seems like they want to get something for him, and I don't think they're going to get what they want. I don't think they're going to get a first. If they get a third, they should be ecstatic.
Oh, I'll take a third all day. Be honest with you. I mean, we might be able to get one of those steals when we get those middle round guys. So who knows?
Exactly.
Let me see what's up to this guy. He actually lives in the Seattle area. He's from the Bay Area though. The Niner you love to hate 510. My buddy Easy says he put the middle finger. Oh my gosh, Jimmy G stands for garbage. Can't throw past his effing shoelaces. They couldn't see a linebacker, even if it was Andre the Giant. Oh my gosh. I've actually seen Andre the Giant in real life a good 5 feet away from me. It literally looked like a 7'4" like cow was like, his body was like this wide. It was crazy, man. That guy is the biggest person I've ever seen in my life.
I'm 6'5", by the way. Like, I met some people on Twitter for the first time ever, and they were like,
saying you were like, damn, that guy's tall.
Yeah. I'm actually taller than what's his name on what's the name of the Sprint Option podcast guy? Jason. I'm actually taller than Jason. Don't tell Jason I said that.
Which Jason? Sprint Option. I'm trying to think.
Jason does the show with Andrew Pasquini. The Sprint Option
okay, maybe
podcast.
It's somebody I don't know by name. My bad.
Jason Aponte.
Oh, Jason Aponte. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to be telling people this because they told me not to. I'm actually taller than Jason Aponte.
Okay.
I found out Jason Aponte's skinnier than me because I'm a bigger dude.
Yeah, he's a pretty skinny dude.
But no, it was funny meeting him in person for the first time. But he's like, "Oh, damn, you're taller than me," and I was like, "Yeah, I can't tell you."
Yeah, a lot of these guys are pretty tall. Jesse Naylor was saying he's like 6'2" or 6'3". I'm 6'1", so hey, it helps to have height, I guess. I might, I missed some really interesting. I don't know who this Richard McDonald is. He said they need to trade Lance and get Jimmy better weapons. What else did he say? He says Kyle needs to call better plays. He said let Jimmy cook. I don't know if he's being serious or he's trying to be funny. He says Jimmy's going to start next year. I don't know, but he's stealing the show in the chat. This guy, that's pretty funny though.
Yeah. I think that's trolling, but
yeah, without a doubt. Oh, I want to ask you because I do go through my series of personal questions.
My bad. I didn't interrupt you. I just saw Jimmy G in the chat.
It's all good. We're gonna talk more football pretty soon. We're gonna talk it real soon, but because I'm a big foodie guy. I like to check out what are the hottest restaurants. I like to cook all kinds of dishes.
Yeah,
I'm on YouTube trying to learn how to cook dishes or just watching them make dishes. And I got a pizza oven in the backyard, so I'm always talking about pizza. But if you're in the Bay Area, what's your favorite go-to pizza spot? And in general, do you prefer like a New York slice or like a Chicago deep dish?
So my favorite pizza place is actually Mountain Mike's.
Oh, really? Okay. Whoa.
I'm pretty basic. I'm not.
Yeah, it sounds like you're pretty basic with that.
I'm a basic white dude from California. I like my Mountain Mike's white sauce pizza.
The garlic chicken one.
Recently.
You have it in New York. Okay.
I just like me some pepperoni with white sauce. Jeez.
But when you were in New York, did you see a big difference in the pizza out there? Everybody says it's so much better.
It's bigger. I don't know if it's better. It's open later. So, you'd go out drinking and then the pizza's there to go get it.
And it's more accessible from what I hear. I hear everywhere you walk, there's a damn pizza spot.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great. Yeah. Like, I would get drunk and then go get a pizza and then go back to the hotel room.
Okay, so you didn't think it was that much better tasting though, huh?
No. The only thing that was that much better tasting was Cat's Deli, where they have the pastrami sandwich.
Those big sandwiches. Yeah, it's really, really popular deli, Cat's Deli, without a doubt.
It's insane.
I don't know who this is. Somebody that knows me because he's being funny with my first name says my name's Bashar, but he's calling me Bashir. Says I want to eat one of Bashir's pizzas before I die. I don't know who that is though. Charlie 2NA. It's got to be somebody I know.
The tuna logo.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. Charlie. Oh, Charlie Tuna. Okay. That's pretty funny. So I pretty much wrapped up all the personal questions. Let's talk about the game, man. So I don't know where you were at watching the game, but I was at home, and I was like, this Niner team's on a 3-game win streak. We finally got our groove back. People were saying we were struggling to find our identity, but guess what? Kyle got his head out of his ass. People were saying Kyle needs to get his head out of his ass. He got his head out of his ass. He realized, hey, we're a run-first team. Let's give Elijah Mitchell some carries, and let's get the ground and pound going. And boom, it was working for 3 games, and lo and behold, we hop in Seattle, and we can't score any damn points in the second half. We freaking lose the game. What's your take on the whole Seattle situation when we went over there?
So I named my podcast this week "Embarrassed" because that's how I felt. Because I brought on an old friend of mine from Seattle who, basically came on and said Seattle doesn't do anything right. They don't do anything good. They don't do anything well, and they did that to the 49ers. And the thing is like I understand like people's general thing is they're going to blame the defense, that because that's, they watch football, they're going to blame the defense, they're going to blame these corners. But the thing is your corners are Dante Johnson and Josh Norman. And let's be honest here about Dante Johnson. He's not a great starting corner, but as like a fourth string, third string guy, maybe not third string, but a fourth string corner, like he's a decent fourth string corner. A lot of teams would love to have Dante Johnson as a backup corner on their team. And Josh Norman has played fairly well. I understand like people like to shit on me because I stand up for Josh Norman on Twitter, but like Josh Norman gets beat, once or twice a game, but for the most part, he's been solid. And the fact that you have, Jimmy Ward and you have Jaquaski Tart out there who have played, decent in that secondary, they make that team better. Now, if Jimmy Ward wasn't playing and you had Josh Norman and Dante Johnson, that's a different story. And that's where things kind of get like a little more, let's blame the defense in that way. But like they had 3 turnovers, man. If you have 3 turnovers in a game, you should win. Like you should win if you get 3 turnovers in a game, especially if they're all on defense. And, Dante Johnson's going out there and playing, maybe the last couple of years of his career. And he's never going to be a starting corner in this league. Their plan was Verrett and Mosley. Verrett got hurt, and that sucks. And now Mosley's hurt, and that sucks. But I'm not blaming Norman and Johnson for the loss on Sunday at all. I think that the 49ers have a problem with corners. I think they need to figure out that corner situation. I think they need to spend some free agency money and go get the best corner available, and sign Verrett to another, 1-year contract. Be like, hey, prove it. And, Mosley's still there, and they have Lenore to replace K1. I don't know if that's going to be their plan, and then they have Ambry Thomas, who we don't even really know what he's like because he's coming off a COVID year where he didn't play at all. And so that stuff's like kind of the up in the air thing. But the problem the 49ers have, and where I'm going to either piss off your audience or they're going to like it, is Jimmy Garoppolo. We talked about when I first talked about, there's James and there's Jimmy. Well, Jimmy's the one who beat the Saints. James is the one who throws the ball to the team. Well, James never, ever left the field except for 2 throws on Sunday. And that's why they lost the game, because James threw the ball to Bobby Wagner on a dot to Bobby. Like if Bobby was the receiver, that's the best throw I've ever seen.
Hey, his ball placement to Bobby Wagner was much better than it's been to the receivers all year. You can make that argument,
It's always high and it's always behind. People got so mad at me when I started tweeting every time he throws the ball, it's high.
Yeah.
And it just became a thing. And it's true. It's always high and it's always behind. And so the question is there going to be a game where he doesn't throw it high and behind? And I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen a game where it's not high and it's not behind. And then you pair that with the fact they can't run the ball because Seattle said, okay, here's the deal. We're going to just give you the most loaded box possible. We're not going to let you run, and we're going to make Jimmy beat us just like the Chiefs did in the Super Bowl. And that's how you beat Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not able to make the throws to beat a defense downfield, no matter how shitty your defense is. The Seahawks secondary is so bad, Bashar. It's so bad. And they tried. They really did try. There's guys running open. If you watch the All-22, there's guys running open all night. And Jimmy just can't do it. And it was embarrassing. It was the most embarrassing thing I've ever watched in my entire life. Maybe not my entire life, but this season, obviously we've watched the 49ers in the 2010s, but in the Kyle Shanahan era and the way that this team, has been injured as much as it has, this year was supposed to be different, and for you to go on that 3-game run, granted one's the Jaguars, one's a Vikings team that just lost to the Lions, it was embarrassing. It was really, really embarrassing to lose to that team, to get a safety against one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL. That was embarrassing, especially when you watch the film and Kittle's open. I mean, he just doesn't see the field, man. We can talk about why.
I didn't go back and watch the replay to see who was open down the field on that safety, but was Kittle open to the point where Jimmy had time to throw it and get him on that safety?
I think he was, but I mean, the thing about, a Jimmy supporter is going to tell you is that Jimmy throws the ball, gets the ball out fast. And if he gets the ball out fast, it should be a throw he makes. And I understand Compton, Compton is the target, is the tackle right now, but like I blame Jimmy for that safety. Like, just get the ball, throw the ball away. If he's not open,
he
throw the
never
ball
sees
away.
the rush coming. He never sees the rush coming.
He doesn't see the rush coming. He doesn't know how to manipulate a pocket. He just doesn't. I don't know, man. Like, I understand. Like, there's people who think that that he should be, a starter over Trey, and that's a whole different conversation. But this was embarrassing.
Trey's not ready. That's the usual narrative. Trey's not ready.
I'm not. That's not my story.
hey, I forgot to mention this. This guy, the Niner you love to hate 510. He said he told me on Facebook he actually met you before over in Seattle at a few of the Niner functions.
Oh, really?
Goes by name Easy. I know. I guess you're a big known guy over there in Seattle because you're Niner Nate on the radio over there.
So,
you were working the radio station in Seattle.
If you want, I'll tell you a little bit about some stuff I actually did over there. So, basically, what happened was, because I was Niner Nate, and Seattle loves to make fun of the 49ers, I got approached and asked if I wanted to do Niner Nate reviews, basically. And what those were started out as like old sports movies, but then reviewing them like out of 49 Garoppolos. And then that transitioned to something else where they had me talk about whoever the 49ers were playing, or the Seahawks were playing. And so being like, okay, the Dallas Cowboys, they're America's team, right? And so that means that Dak Prescott should be America's, quarterback. But let's be honest here. America's quarterback's Jimmy Garoppolo. And so I did a lot of that stuff out there. And then they brought me on to do why the 49ers will win. And so that was basically a weekly segment where I went on with Jason Puckett and Cliff Averill at the time. And I said why the 49ers will win. And it was all written down, scripted and stuff. And then I joined the Seattle Faithful and I would play that stuff for them at the events. And people loved it. It was really fun. And so I guess I got kind of like a cult following with the Niner fans out there. It's kind of cool. It was something different.
That's cool. So people kind of know you up there. That's cool. So we got Charlie Tuna. He revealed his identity. I do know who this guy is. Former 49er YouTuber from back in the day when I started my old YouTube channel. So it's ID Niner, good buddy of mine. We'll see what's up. So Tommy Huxley arrived in late. He says wants all the smoke. We got somebody else. 49er First Take. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Excellent content creator. If you don't know who he is, definitely check him out. I've had him on my show before. 49er dude, 49er rapper. I'd like to have him on the show in the future. When we drop the new 49er Minded song, that he's going to be my special guest. Says Bashar, what it do? Jimmy is inconsistent. It's Trey time. Hey, I'd love to see Trey out there as much, but I'm under this, I think Niner Nate can talk about this because he's kind of the one who told me this and fed it to me, and I'm believing it because I see that they're pushing it. I just don't think we're going to see Trey out there unless Jimmy gets hurt.
Jimmy gets hurt.
Yeah.
That seems to be the narrative. This is what I've, heard through the grapevine or whatever. So, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not like, I don't work in the building, but basically they have to get something for Jimmy. I don't know if that's from Lynch or that's from John or that's from Jed. They have to get something for Jimmy Garoppolo, and that's why he's playing. And the reason that Trey packages stopped is because, the locker room wasn't fans of it. And, I have a different feeling about that, but that's what I've always heard is that, the locker room is the reason he's not out there. Jimmy complained or something along those lines, and that's why he's not out there. And so I don't feel like that's the way to be, because I think that the head coach should be in control of his own locker room to be like, no, screw you guys. I'm starting this rookie because I believe he's better than the guy we have now. But,
Yeah, there's so many ways you can spin it, because there's dudes on other chat rooms that will tell me, no, Kyle's in love with Jimmy. And I'm like, I don't think that's necessarily the case, but that's what they want to believe. And there's so many ways you can go about doing it, but I'm kind of with you. It kind of makes sense. It's kind of what I'm seeing. And yeah. Niner You Love to Hate from the dude that lives in Seattle says, I've been at the same Niner viewings with Niner Nate when he was in Everett when we were back.
Okay, the Cactus Moon Saloon, I think it was called. We went there and we'd blow the whole place up. I remember there was people would be like, oh my God, the Niners, Seahawks fans. The Seahawks fans would say, oh, the Niners haven't played anyone. And then the Niners would beat someone good, and we just talk shit the whole time.
In 2019, that was the whole narrative. Ray Martinez says, ownership, most likely. They spent big money on Jim following Kyle and John. So business-wise, they want some kind of return for the money spent. Exactly. Yeah. That's how I see it. I was going to say, we started off the game, obviously, on a bad note. People say that, hindsight's 20/20. People are on the radio and other stations saying, why didn't the 49ers look for that fake punt? Why didn't Richard Hightower prime them for a fake punt? When you play a team that's 3-8, they're going to pull everything out of their hat. That's something they should expect. Now, when you watch that freaking fake punt play, I don't know if it was some voodoo magic that they pulled. There's always some weird Seattle luck BS that I always talk about with my friends. This whole Seattle luck where they pull out these weird, wild, wacky plays that you've never ever seen before. And it's like you watch the play pre-snap. You see freaking Travis Homer. I know his last name's Homer. I believe it's Travis. Lined up.
Yeah,
It almost looked
right.
like he's completely away from the freaking long snapper. He's not even directly behind the long snapper. How the ball got to him, it beats me. When I watched the play, I'm like, it looks like Travis Homer has no way of getting the ball on this play. And then, oh man, that fake punt just killed me on that. That was just terrible.
It was one of those things where the 49ers didn't see it coming because who the hell's going to do it, in their own end zone. I think it was like a 75
on the first drive of the game.
Yeah, it's a very Seattle thing. It's a very Pete Carroll thing. Like, he won't go for it on fourth down when it's 4th and 1, but he'll do something dumb like that. And I think that, San Francisco, after that happened, they took a lead after that they should have been able to hold, but because of the turnovers and just the inconsistent quarterback play, that did something to Seattle that made them think they could win this game. When, let's be honest here, what did they score against Washington football team the week before? Something like 17 points, maybe not even that. And the Washington football team is one of the worst defenses in the NFL without Chase Young. And so it's one of those things where, like, Seattle gets up for us. They always do. And, just like we always get up for the Rams. And I think that the 49ers game plan just wasn't good. Like, that's the thing.
I mean, being 3-8, Seattle got up for that game like it was a Super Bowl. I mean, I don't know what the feeling in the locker room was before we ran on the field, but I don't think we matched some Seattle's intensity. I just don't. Joey Mahoney says, how many times bad should I tell you about Seattle's luck bullshit? Oh, we've been talking about that for years. But what's up, SG Sports Talk channel? Subscribe to this guy. It's Shardal. Faithful Grant Cone Caller says, what's up, Bashar? Good to have him on there. Yeah, I mean, so like when we finally did score our first touchdown, Jimmy throws a beautiful pass over the middle of the field to George Kittle. I wish we could see that with consistency from Jimmy. Well, we scored 17 unanswered points, and I'm thinking, hey, we got this game, man. We got the momentum,
Yeah. It was, I mean, that was a dot. That was a dot from Jimmy. Like, that's the best throw I've seen him throw in a while. And so, it felt like they were going to find a way to get away with it and just blow these fools out, and they couldn't do it. Whether it was I think the defense played well enough. When you're up 17-7, you should be able to get away from, a team and really take them out to the trash can. And because of the fact that the quarterback, once again, continued to throw the ball to the team or, take unneeded sacks. I mean, how many times as a 49er fan have you seen Jimmy Garoppolo just stand there like an idiot and not throw the ball away, not try and do anything? And so, it's so frustrating, man. It's so frustrating.
Well, I remember last year when CJ Beathard stepped in towards the end of the year, and this is CJ Beathard for crying out loud, a below average NFL backup, but at least he had the awareness to freaking throw the ball away when need be, so he wouldn't take the big sack. I was like, he did it a few times, like 3 or 4 times maybe. I'm like, why hasn't Jimmy done this? And I've been screaming for Jimmy to do that. Then people tell me I'm not faithful. I'm a Jimmy G hater. I don't know what I'm talking about. Jimmy G has a great deep ball. You're stupid, Bashar. Why do you talk about Jimmy like that? And then that's the pushback that I get. But I only comment on what I see.
I think that. It's the same thing we've seen a lot throughout this season and throughout last season before he got injured. There's a way to beat the 49ers with Kyle Shanahan because think about real quick about the Atlanta Falcons with Matt Ryan. And I understand Matt Ryan isn't the best quarterback in the world. But he's better than Jimmy. So we all know he's better than Jimmy, right? But the thing is Kyle Shanahan's offense is so predicated on the run, right? They have to run the ball. And so when you stop the ability for the team to run, you have to throw it, right? That you have to you can't just 3 and out all day, right? And so they start to have to throw. And yes, Kyle Shanahan is scheming dudes open, but he doesn't have a quarterback that's able to get the ball downfield really. Like Jimmy Garoppolo's deep ball is flawed because he doesn't use his leg. And it's funny because we talked a lot about this when we traded for him. And he came in, everyone's like, oh my God, we have this quarterback who does this, this, and this, and this, and this. And Jimmy, has consistently shown that not using your leg to throw is a problem. And it's not getting fixed. It's not changing. We know what Jimmy Garoppolo is right now. And so if you want to continue to put a mediocre quarterback out every single week, every game's going to be close. You're not going to blow anybody out. Every game's going to give the other team a chance to win. And, the biggest blessing the 49ers have going into this week with the Bengals is the fact that Joe Burrow's pinky is hurt on his throwing hand, because that'll help it not be a shootout.
Yeah, that should help us. But that wasn't Russell Wilson semi-injured before we played him this past
this
week?
was coming off of 2 weeks after he's come back. So he had the pin in his finger got taken out 2 weeks ago, and he played on it in Green Bay, and he kind of looked, off in that game. And then he was looking better towards the end of the Washington game, and then he looked a lot better in this game than he looked, of course, against 49ers. But he's getting consistently better every single game, and I think that this is was showing that. It's just their defense is so bad that they're, he can't win games.
I was going to say, we're going to still talk about the Seattle game. I just want to jump to this comment by Ray Martinez because he's shedding some truth. At least I think it's the truth. I don't know what you think, but somebody brought up Mac Jones in the chat, so we're kind of still.
I was actually going to ask you if I could respond to it because.
We're going to get into it right now. So Ray Martinez says if Kyle wanted Mac at 3, he would have taken him. I totally believe that. Kyle doesn't give a shit. Everybody's cussing today. Kyle doesn't give a shit what anyone thinks, clearly. So the narrative that Kyle wanted Mac and didn't take him is BS. And the thing is, people forget, Kyle did get, now John Lynch got hired before Kyle, but I think Kyle kind of committed to Lynch. No, Kyle committed to the 49ers first.
Kyle Shanahan hired John Lynch.
Yeah, he pretty much hired him, yeah. So what do you think? I mean, it's Kyle that calls the shots in that regard, right? If it's a QB, I mean.
So here's what I know about the situation, because I was convinced it was Justin Fields. They were never going to take Mac Jones. Mac Jones was John Lynch's guy. And so John Lynch was the one telling people they were going to take Mac Jones. And if you've ever noticed, when things tend to get leaked or outed to the media, it's stuff that is very John Lynch sounding, I guess, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it's the way it comes out is that way, right? And so I do think that the pick was always going to be Trey Lance. It's funny because Atlanta had said they hoped that the Niners take Kyle Pitts because they wanted Trey Lance. I do think, and someone said this the other day on Twitter, it was kind of interesting, is, say the Jets take Trey Lance at 2. I think the 49ers take Justin Fields at 3. I don't think that Mac Jones was ever the pick. I just don't think that Kyle wants Mac Jones, because I think, yes, Mac Jones's arm has looked decent, and they've looked, there's times where he's looked okay. But he's like Jimmy, there's nothing, you're not getting any amazing athlete. You're not getting anything that can potentially, become a top tier quarterback. Like even Tom Brady, when he's winning all those Super Bowls, he's not, a top 10 guy, even when he was winning all those Super Bowls, because, he didn't have, it was the offense he was in, and the fact that he could, accurately throw the ball downfield and take a hit. It's interesting. I don't think we'll ever actually know the truth, but I think the guy was always Trey Lance, because I've heard that Kyle was literally talking about Trey Lance way before they traded to 3. I just think that Trey Lance is the guy. I think Trey Lance is their future, and I think they're ready to build around Trey Lance. They just believe they have to get something for Jimmy. And once they get something for Jimmy, it will be Trey Lance time.
So Don Suave asked me, BZ, he always calls me BZ, even in real life. He never calls me by my real name. Says, BZ, you thought it was a Fields too? So I was always, towards the last 3 weeks going into it, I was pretty much down the middle, either Fields or Lance. The thing that was clear as day, not just for me, but for anybody else out there, they went to 2 pro days for Fields and Lance. Mac Wilson was just 1 pro day. So it was almost like a no-brainer. It was like, to me, it was going to be one or the other.
I don't think Kyle liked Zach Wilson. I don't think he ever.
Mac Jones. I meant to say Mac Jones. My bad.
I don't think he ever liked Zach Wilson, and I do think that there were things about Mac Jones they liked, but you would stay at 12 and take him. You don't trade to 3 to go get Mac Jones. Like we all knew Mac Jones was going to get to 12. Like I was saying on my show, they should take Mac Jones at 12 because you lost the chance at Trey Lance. You lost the chance at Justin Fields. You don't have the ability to draft that high because you went and beat the Cardinals and the Rams at the end of the season and lost your chance to draft a top quarterback. But taking Mac Jones is cheaper Jimmy with a better arm, and it allows you to kind of at least build a better secondary. But then when they didn't take, they did trade up, I was like, it's not Mac Jones. And I told people that. It's Justin Fields or Trey Lance. It has to be. There's no way it's anybody else because I had gotten a text from someone that's like, Zach Wilson is going second overall. And I was like, okay, well, it's Justin Fields or Trey Lance. The thing with Trey Lance I didn't understand was why would you take a guy who, potentially would have to sit? And I think that they kind of thought that. And then they went to the pro day and saw that he's smart and he understood the playbook and he was asking for more and all this stuff. And then, something happened, whether it was the locker room or it was John Lynch or it was Jed York or it was John York or whoever it was, where they said, Kyle, we have to get something for Jimmy. We lost 3 first-round picks to go get Trey Lance, and I understand he's the future. I get it. But we have to get something for Jimmy because we cannot just let him go. He is a starting quarterback in the NFL. Whether we all like it or not, he's one of the less good starting quarterbacks, but he is a starting quarterback.
Yeah, definitely. So in the Seattle game, I'm not sure if it happened in the first half. I believe it was in the second half. I could be wrong, but and I forgot about this. We've been doing this on a consistent basis versus Seattle. And again, to rag on the special teams, I know some guy who always complains about Richard Hightower because he's complained about him for the last 3 years. But when was it that Travis Benjamin fumbled on the kickoff return? Was it in the second half or the first half? But I just felt like that was one of those things when that happened. Oh, great. Here comes that Seattle momentum. And then the second half once they started throwing flags when we were playing excellent defense, stopping them on defense, and they were roughing the passer. Once they started doing that, I was like, oh, great. If the refs are pushing for Russell to protect Russell Wilson, good luck beating this team.
Weird stuff happens in Seattle. That's just the way it's always been. No one saw, Trenton Cannon, who's been like a fine kick returner. He's never dropped the ball. He's been fine. Getting hurt as bad as he did at the start of that game. And I think that that's a weird thing that, Kyle didn't see it coming. So he has to put Travis Benjamin in. He doesn't really know what to do. And, weird things happen in Seattle. Refs sometimes do things to help Seattle out, whether we like it or not. I'm not a guy who likes to complain about officiating as a way of you losing a game. But no, the officiating in that game was awful. It's that simple.
Especially that damn Trent Sherfield PI hold, whatever you want to call it, that would have brought the ball half the distance to the goal. That was just, I don't know how, for all the ticky-tacky pass interferences we've been getting all year, you can say it could go one way or the other. When it's clear as day and we don't get it and it's right in the end zone in a crucial part of the game, I don't know what the heck's going on. Now, we shouldn't have let them get in that position, but it just sucks that it happened. That happened for us. It doesn't help us at all. And Joey corrects me. It was the opening kickoff in the second half, like I originally thought. So that's right. So that's when Benjamin fumbled. Yeah, just that second half was really disappointing. I just want to move on from that freaking Seattle game and just see what do you expect them to happen in this Bengals game. Are we gonna get another road win, or is this going to be too difficult for us? I don't even know what the weather forecast is going to look like out there. I got to check it out right now, actually.
I've been thinking about this a lot, actually. Also, I want to shout out all the people who said the jacket's pretty cool. I do like this jacket a lot.
Yeah, that jacket's off the hook.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's interesting because as someone who is a Joe Mixon fantasy owner, he's banged up. Samaje Perine, probably going to be the main guy. I think that they'll put some Mixon in there. Burrow being banged up like he is. The thing I worry about with this game specifically is the Bengals run defense is, Seattle levels of good when it comes to the run defense. The pass defense, we saw Justin Herbert just destroyed them, right? But we don't have the ability to do that. Like, we don't have a team that can throw the ball down the field and make bad secondaries. And so what the Bengals are going to do is exactly what the Seahawks did. And it's going to come down to, can Jimmy Garoppolo overcome those things to for them to win? And I just don't think that, I just cannot put my money on Jimmy Garoppolo winning you the football game. It's just I can't do it. I don't have that bone in my body.
Yeah. Dan Castile reminded me, and I was going to bring this up earlier, but losing Mosley in that Seattle game was a huge hit for us. He was actually playing pretty well, and I've been pretty critical of Mosley throughout this season. Not that he's this guy that gives up all these touchdowns, because he doesn't, but just in crucial situations, especially on third downs, he'll get beat for whatever crucial play there is, and it'll piss me off. But are we going to have him in Cincinnati? I'm not sure if he's going to even play. Is he going to play? I mean,
Mosley's not going to play. It looks like Debo's probably not going to play either. But obviously, we'll see tomorrow. Kyle said we'll know about Debo tomorrow. Losing Mosley sucks, right? But like, you should be able to still win when you have Jimmy Ward with Dante Johnson and Josh Norman if your quarterback isn't turning the ball over. And that's the biggest thing: is don't turn the ball over. Don't throw the ball to the other team. Don't fumble the ball on punt returns. Don't fumble the ball on kick returns. And they'll have a chance to win any game. But I just don't trust Jimmy Garoppolo not turning the ball over. And every time, I think there's a stat line that's like they've won 1 game out of 5 when Jimmy has a turnover. That's not good.
And what's not good is we don't know if Elijah Mitchell's going to play. He'd have to clear concussion protocol if he does play.
Yeah.
And that's completely up in the air. We don't know who's going to be getting the touches this Sunday. And it's just, we know how it is when Jimmy's forced to be the guy to throw the ball the whole time, and we're not getting much in the run game. Case in point, we gave Elijah Mitchell the carries, but Seahawks had a pretty good run defense, a great run defense on us. They were stuffing the run. Trent Williams even spoke about in the post game just how the linebackers were stepping up, so the O linemen weren't able to double team the D tackles like they usually do. I wanted to say what's up to a couple other people right here. Corey Davis, what's up, dog? Really loyal viewer, awesome dude. Says hello, 49er minded, and Nate. What up, D Sizzle? You know what it is. This guy's awesome. He's on Real Talk NINER Talk from time to time. He does that little funny character with the gold tooth. And if you guys saw his, maybe I should play his video. Oh, I didn't upload the video. Maybe I'll do it next week. But this guy was screaming his head off of the Seahawks game, and I retweeted it, and a whole bunch of other people retweeted it, and just saying, get this guy MFer off the field. I guess it was after Jimmy threw his second pick. That might have been a feeling from a lot of Niner fans. He said, we in trouble again, shaking my head. It's not going to be easy. I mentioned the whole thing with Mosley being out. They got Higgins. They got Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow likes to throw the deep ball, even though he's going to be hurt. Our pass rush has got to be on point this game.
I just don't think that he's going to be able to throw the ball that well. It sounds like his pinky is pretty bad off. I wouldn't be surprised me if he throws it well enough and they yak him to death because of how good Higgins and Chase are. But the way you win this football game is you find a way to run the ball. That's as simple as that, because Mixon's hurt, and I don't think P. Ryan's going to beat us. I think that you kind of have been handed a blessing in playing this Bengals team, and where people are hurt and people are not 100%. And granted, the 49ers aren't 100%, but like, this is a playoff team. Like, whether we believe it or not, with Jimmy Garoppolo, this is a playoff team. I even said that, and I don't like Jimmy. This is a playoff team, and playoff teams should be able to win in games like this where, I think the Bengals are a pretender. They're still a couple of years away.
Now, if we lose this game, you pretty much think we're out of the playoffs?
No, I don't think so. I don't think the NFC is very good.
Yeah, it's just
I think
a weak year for the NFC then.
They're going to beat the Texans. They're going to beat the Falcons. The Tennessee game, I think, is a loss. But I was talking to Javi Vega the other night about over personal messages, and he thinks that they could potentially lose to the Rams. My thing is, I just don't think they're going to lose to the Rams, because I just don't think Sean McVay is able to beat the 49ers. I just don't think he has it in the bone in his body that can beat the 49ers. And I think that this game at the end of the season will be closer at the end of the season with the Rams, but I don't think they're going to lose to the Rams. The game I'm afraid of is Tennessee, just because I think AJ Brown's coming back that week, and they're going to sell out to stop the run. And if they have Henry back, this run defense has been decent. They're not going to stop Derrick Henry.
I had this guy on my show for the post game.
I agree with him. Yeah.
Niner Sickness podcast. Check out his channel. He says we might be a playoff team, but most likely one and done. Yeah, probably
one and done also, with Jimmy. Absolutely.
Oh man, he said the J word. All right, so we got Steve O Supremo says old schools bettors don't bet on their team. I don't know who was betting. Who he's referring to, but I know this guy's been viewing the channel. Check it out. So I
I think he was talking about DeBartolo.
There was a really. Oh, here we go. This is Pine Noah's comment. He said, D Sizzle's rant, who I mentioned earlier. If you haven't seen it, 98, I got to send it to you. Maybe I'll upload it for my next show. Because I want to. You'll probably laugh your ass off if you see it.
I'm sure it's better than Nick Newman's rants because Nick Newman rants are awful, and I'll call them out on there. I don't care. Those are awful. It's terrible content.
Well, the thing is, what's funny is, people call him Niner Nick, and some people, and you're called Niner Nate. So every once in a while, one or two. I hate to say it, but sometimes people get you confused every now and then. So not just for the fact, just with the alliteration on the names, on the nicknames, and all. Not that you guys act or talk about the same things.
I don't talk to Niner Nick at all. So
somebody mentioned Hasty. David McNew says Tommy Hasty was a healthy scratch last week. He needs to show us something. I thought Hasty was in on special teams, though. I could have sworn I saw him.
He's talking about Jermichael Hasty, right?
Yeah, the running back.
He played.
Yeah. I don't know. What's the deal with Jeff Wilson Jr.? Like, why aren't we rotating our running backs? We keep on forcing the hand with freaking Elijah Mitchell, who I love, but keep your running backs fresh because every now and then, if you got a fresh running back, he can break a long run.
I agree with that, but I think that they've kind of found out that Elijah Mitchell is basically Raheem Mostert again, and Kyle loves what he can do with Raheem Mostert. You saw it in the Super Bowl, or not the Super Bowl, the NFC Championship, and I think that Kyle prefers to run that ball. But I do agree with you. We should see more Jeff Wilson. And when Trey Sermon was healthy, I think we should have saw more of him. The running back situation's been weird, but it's not going to matter once Trey Lance is the quarterback, I don't think, because once you have a quarterback with the threat to run and the fact that he can pass the ball, the number one thing I want to see between now and next season is the fact that the game is slowing down for Trey Lance. And while I believe that it's not as fast as some people believe it is. A lot of people are like, oh, the game's too fast for him, blah, 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 blah. We've seen 6 quarters, bro. Like, calm down. I think if he had started, I think we would have seen that Trey Lance understands the game and it's slower for him. But we'll see. It sucks that we don't get to know more about him because I think that's the most interesting part about this team right now.
Oh, yeah. So I just want to say thank you because we had a really big turnout on the chat tonight. You guys are awesome for anybody's awesome for watching, but for those of you making the chat what it is, it's awesome because sometimes you remind me of certain things that I forget to say, and you guys just make the whole conversation a whole lot more funner. So shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome. Shout out to Niner Nate for being on here. We hit the hour mark, so we're going to wrap it up. And I want you to just talk about yourself. Let people know about Niner Nate podcast.
Totally. So Niner Nate's nonsense goes up every week usually. I'm in the process of figuring out how to upload this week's because I did it through Twitter. And so, but you can check me out at Niner Nate 49. Always post the podcast link at the top of the page. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, Niner Nate's Nonsense. It's on everything. Spotify, Google, like you mentioned Google earlier, Apple Podcasts, all those. And so my thing is, check it out. Let me know what you think. I have my DMs open if you follow me on Twitter. If you want to ask me a question, have something answered on the show, I'm always down to answer it. I try to answer my DMs and not be the guy who's ignoring people for the most part, but I get busy. I have a life, obviously. But I just love doing Niner content, man. It's my favorite team, and I just love talking about it. And I appreciate all you guys for anyone who listens to that show. You're helping me chase my dream, and that's all I can ever ask for.
Yeah, his podcast is very good. I've listened to it a few times. I listen to it on the Google podcast app, but if you have Spotify or iTunes, whatever, you can find them on there. And for those that find it hard to find them, just go through the video description on here. I posted all the links to his social media. Follow Niner Nate on Twitter and subscribe to his podcast. Again, thank you again for coming on. I'm surprised I don't really see you much on these YouTube streams. As popular you are as on Twitter with your podcast, I was like, man, why isn't this? I was trying to look you up on YouTube to see if you were a guest, and I'm surprised I'm one of the few guys who's had you on as a guest on here.
I haven't done a lot of video content because I worked in radio for so long. I've really done I've done a ton of audio content always, but I'm always down to do video shows. If anyone wants me to come on their show, you send me a DM. I'll generally make time for you, and that's kind of my biggest thing is I want to talk to as many people as possible, and I want to get a lot of opinions, and that's kind of what I've wanted to do with this podcast and why I've always bringing someone different on. So we'll have to have you on my show, Bashar, and we'll chop it up and talk about the team here in the future.
Oh, that'll be a lot of fun. So again, thank you, chat. Thank you, Niner Nate. It's been a great time here on 49er Miner, where we get into the minds of 49er fans. Keep repping those 49ers and stay 49er minded. Peace.
Come on, 49 faithful, let's get it.
Because it's 49er mind.
We gotta do this one time for the Empire.
It's 49er mind. It's 49er mind.
We gotta get that brick by brick done quick.
49er mind.
Yeah, Yo, we can't listen to them haters, man.
49er mind.
We from the Bay.
49er mind.
We them San Francisco 49ers.
49er mind.
We got that red and gold blood inside us.
49er mind.